Hello and welcome to episode 42 of the Foundry Roundtable. This is part 2 of our live stream where we are building a Foundry mission live with suggestions from the community. We started with part 1 last week where we began our mission and built about 3 maps. And tonight we're going to finish up and come up with a couple more maps. And the end of our show, we will have a publishable mission, which seems quite fitting for a Foundry podcast to have a publishable mission on its final podcast of the year. After this, we're going to take a break and we'll be back next year. So let's get started. Greendragoon, fire up the Foundry.
Okay.
I want to say hello to everyone in the chat room.
Hey, chat room.
Hi, everybody.
This is our second experiment with live streaming, and we really feel like the first one went pretty well.
Yeah. Trying new things with this one too, though.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the mission that we created, the plot is there was a Federation diplomat that went to try and negotiate peace with the Voth. Went to the Delta Quadrant where there was some known Voth activity and disappeared. So they sent your ship after them. The first thing that happened is you went through a transwarp gate. What was the name of the ship? The Callisto?
Yes, the Callisto.
Yeah, the Callisto had sort of anchored the
Good
far side
memory.
of the transwarp conduit there. And then you went to the last known coordinates of this ambassador the last time they heard from him. Ran smack into the middle of a big fight between the Voth and the Undine having a little presence here in the Delta Quadrant. Rescued the Undine, much to their gratitude, or not. And they directed you to a outpost on a nearby planet where the ambassador might be hidden. Greendragoon was building us a ground map that had an Iconian gateway in it. Let's see, Primar 13 is suggesting we run through the maps
Okay.
during the
That's a good
recap. That's a good idea. So Dragoon, if you want to fire it up from the first map.
The fun of Foundry loading times.
They're not that bad.
No,
anymore.
nothing compared to what they were for a while.
Like I say, these days they're like they're wonderful.
So the first map, we were doing some trigger work where we had you go through the transwarp gate, the system that you were in disappears, and a new system appears. So what did we have in the first one? A planet and a moon?
Yeah, and then we swapped it out for an asteroid field.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And swapped out one ship for another ship. There's a ship hanging around directing traffic, I guess, on this side of the gateway. Now, one of the things we'll have to do tonight is decide where our entry door to the mission is going to be.
Yes.
So
I'm thinking maybe
maybe
somewhere.
we'll ask for suggestions from the chat room. Where do you guys think the mission door should be? So here's pretty simple. You just go through the gateway.
And we haven't gotten too
Come
deep
out
into
on
dialogue.
the other side. Yeah, we've kept the dialogue very simple.
It is right. Somewhere in the day would kind of make sense.
It would, however, we don't have access to any doors there.
Oh, that's true. How about over on the right side of Regulus then?
Okay, that will work. One of those that's kind of near the entrance to Taudewa.
Yeah, that's what I'm meaning.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it. I could also see Alpha Centauri, since it's in the general direction of the Delta Quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
But still pretty. It's up far inside Federation space.
So here we have our fight between the Undine and the Voth. I should point out that we have not yet reskinned these Federation mobs to Undine, but they will be. And we also discovered that Voth mobs are rather tougher than, well, pretty much anybody else.
I like the way you put that.
So Cryptic gets better and better at doing AI and abilities as they make these mobs. So if you put Undine against the generic Federation mobs that were put way back when the Foundry was first created, they're going to get their butts kicked.
Their AI has improved for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Even just in the time I've been playing the game.
I think what's happening is I think they're jumping to the 0 point. I think that's why they're appearing so far away.
That bug is still around in preview.
Yeah.
Which bug? Sorry, I'm not getting any video in there.
Jump to 0-0.
Yeah, where the combat mobs, they'll just teleport. Pax suggests Cyvalorum, but I'm kind of thinking this end of the gate would be in
Federation space.
Yeah, Federation space. So I think somewhere in the Regulus sector block would be good.
Nothing like fighting Voth with a Lieutenant 4. Oh, see there, it jumped. But yeah,
and the Voth have that cloaking device as well.
No, this one I just watched it jump.
Ah. The Voth have a very strange cloaking device.
One thing I noticed about that 0 point bug is that I discovered that I could actually trigger it not quite at will, but close by hitting an enemy unit with a tricobalt device.
Yeah, I can sort of see him disappear here as you play.
Yeah.
But it's nice. Our friendly mobs are surviving. That's good.
Yeah. I've taken some hits, but...
I think we swapped them out for battleships, didn't we?
Yeah.
At least
the Typhoon's a battleship.
Which is usually what I do when I'm making friendly mobs. Is if I want them to survive, I make them a battleship. I mean, they're never guaranteed to survive, but it helps.
Well, yeah. And of course we've got the NPC contact that jumps and.
All right, so with the Voth destroyed, we have one for you to hail, which is actually way back behind you there, Dragoon.
Yeah, he's back.
You went rather closer to the planet.
That's because that's where the 0 point is. I had to run over and kill him at the 0 point.
Now, when we publish, that should disappear.
Yes, this is a preview-only bug.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now obviously there's a little bit of a delay, but if you look to sort of the bottom right of the screen there as he's flying along, you'll see some texture flickering in the backdrop.
Yep.
It's sort of an intermittent problem. Some of the backdrops don't interact well with each other, and I don't know which ones you put on this map.
Well, I think it's that brown nebula.
Mm-hmm.
What? You mean we're not experienced enough to deal with flash outs? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right. Interesting looking bridge officer you got there.
Which one?
Whichever one was talking. For the map transition dialogue.
I'm about 5 seconds ahead of you. I think that was Demetha. Yeah, all my bridge officers in my Foundry character are like bridge officers and versions of captains and whatnot, and basically they're my reject crew.
All right, so here we are on the.
Pulling for a real tune. That's awesome.
So here we are on the ground map, which we used the arena as a base map.
Oh, and I forgot to fix that from last time.
So we have an issue, I believe. What is the issue?
The issue is I didn't move that platform properly.
Ah. That was your ceiling, wasn't it?
That's my ceiling I never adjusted.
It's at the wrong height. But in any case, in this one, you gives you a task to go and search down this hallway first. Hallway which is currently blocked.
Yeah.
And down there you'll find an Iconian gateway, which is the reason the Voth were here, because they're very interested in that sort of thing.
No way.
We used the built-in Iconian gateway, but Dragoon here has been adding different pieces around it to make it all look different.
Alright, I'm just gonna throw this on here. Then we can resume from where we started.
There we go. So that's what you had intended to make your ceiling is. Is that correct?
I was playing around with the foundation block, expecting that I would
Mm-hmm.
need to make it also appear that there was some height above the... but I think I'll just layer it with buildings when I go through and do a polish.
Admiral Tate is asking if it's true that the Voth are not as tough outside the battle zone, and I'm not entirely sure I've had enough experience fighting them outside the battle zone to answer that.
Well,
I think they would be the same mob.
more or less. They will scale mobs based on whether they're going for group play or solo play.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the Foundry is scaled for solo play.
Yeah.
Alright, we're back in, and
Odyssey 47 is asking where is the built-in Iconian gateway. On this arena map, it's at there's a room at the end of the north hallway that has this. We'll show it to you in a minute here. You see, this particular Voth mob spawned one of the little raptors and then one of the bigger dinosaurs. Unfortunately, there's almost no way to tell what types of Voth mobs are going to spawn. But I did make on Starbase UGC a list of all of the possible combinations that I found in testing.
yeah, they're not particularly well suited for reskinning.
Now in the last one, Dragoon added these walls to make it look a bit different, and now our ceiling works.
Yeah,
Here's
you
the
never know that
Iconian gateway.
you never know that this was Haki's lair. Oh, good. The Starfleet liaison gets medical nanites too.
And we added our little Starfleet officer here, captured along with the ambassador. I think this is our shuttle pilot, is that correct?
Yeah.
Wow, you were in combat a long time there.
Yeah. I wonder if the nanites was keeping me in combat
I was
somehow.
going to say, Dragoon doesn't use the kill command as liberally as I do.
Well, I try to simulate realistic behavior.
Sorry. That's just, I can't imagine simulating the realistic behavior with the preview editor. Or with the preview,
It is a bit schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And we have you plant some spatial charges to destroy the...
That's right. We were fidgeting with this when we left off.
Mm-hmm. Now remind me again, what is the name of this asset that does the lights?
Which lights are we talking about?
The ones on the floor.
Light, light, small, 0, 1 or something like that. Or what?
I think you're correct. Light, small, 0, 1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you were talking about those lights. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, that looks much better.
I actually went in and added those to one of my sets. Once you showed those to us last week, they're awesome.
Yeah.
Did you lose a third Voth or a fourth one?
Says
Of course,
she's outside.
of course,
She's
pathing is always goofy.
Oh, there she is. She just got
Preview.
stuck. Yeah, pathing has never been perfect in preview because there is no pathing because it doesn't get calculated.
It's not calculated until published. But in any case, we collapsed that room there, and now we're going to go find our diplomat.
Yeah, and this is as far as we made it, and I decided I don't like this hallway
You don't like this hallway. And why is that?
because it's way too narrow.
Do you mean the hall you're standing in right now?
Keep in mind, you're seeing 5 seconds behind.
Oh, that's true.
You can see he's moved some of the walls, but some of them are still there, and that is really narrow. It's a problem when you're trying to build a hallway inside another hallway.
Yeah.
That's baked into the map.
There's more space in
Yeah.
the cave hallway, but these stone walls make things hard.
I once saw a map where somebody had somehow managed to build a 2-story structure inside part of Earth's space dock. It worked, but it was very cramped.
Yeah. There's a reason that Cryptic builds their stuff as big as they do.
Yeah. Yeah, we all made fun of it, but...
Yeah. But obviously, you've moved these walls, so...
Okay.
If you want to move the rest of them out to that same width, you just have a lot of stuff sticking through, but that's okay.
Yeah, but
it kind of looks cool with the rocks sticking through.
Because it looks like it's half buried.
Mm-hmm.
Which would make sense because it could mean like the Voth were excavating.
Yeah.
So while I'm readjusting these walls, why don't you talk about what we have left to do?
Well, it's that's the question, isn't it? To my mind, there's maybe about 2 maps left to do. Obviously, the idea is to keep this simple. And you guys can jump in here with any other suggestions. We'll take ones from the chat room as well. But my thought was, okay, so after you find the ambassador, you beam up to your ship. Voth reinforcements show up and attempt to destroy you. You beat them. Your sensor officer says something like, "Captain, there's more Voth on the way." And then the Undine that you rescued earlier shows up and says something like, I owe you a debt, and so I'm going to save your life. Now we're even, and shows up with a bunch of reinforcements and saves the day. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, works for me. I like it.
Okay. And then, because the other question in my mind was, how do we get back to the Alpha Quadrant?
Well, we need the Calypso.
Is that thing one way?
Yeah.
Is it 2-way? Is
I
it
think
just
it
a
should be
street?
2-way.
2-way?
Yeah, I don't think we have enough time to deal with a like a long concept of like that.
No, but well, if we were going to decide it was a one-way street, I would say have the Undine open up one of their gravimetric things and send you back.
Man, that one texture problem is so...
Oh, thanks to what Bramflake said last week, we know it's it's like an urgent bug for them.
Yeah.
Hasn't appeared in any triple patch notes that I know of.
Well, we don't know how hard it is to fix.
That just means they haven't figured out what to do with it yet.
I'm betting you it's really hard to fix.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I try never to guess about how hard or easy things are to fix because, you know, I'm not a programmer, obviously,
Right.
and I'm not sitting here looking at their system. So, Stouts says it would be fun if there was an Undine double agent, which would be fun if we weren't going for simple.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that this is publishable by the end of the mission, so we're not trying to bite off more than we can chew.
Honestly,
Admiral
suggested
Tate,
a box double.
the question Admiral Tate just asked in the chat room is he's asking, is it the model textures? It appears to be. Is it just? No, it's not just details because it's occurring in the. Isn't it also occurring in the buildings tab as well?
I thought the buildings tab was largely unaffected.
Yeah, it occurs in the
Well,
buildings
no,
tab.
it does because we put buildings on this map.
No, I mean, but the
Yeah.
difference between building and details
but
is
the
one of semantics.
That's true.
The
Yeah.
object preview, that's
What it
what
is, Tate, is that the textures are just not showing up in the view mode as you're building the map, and instead what you're getting is everything. Every texture is just this white that you see. So if you try to layer objects, if you try to, you know, basically anywhere that they interact, they end up overlaying each other, and you can't see where any difference is.
I don't think so. I mean, because it loads some textures properly.
I think and I'm
Not all
not
of
sure
them,
what the issue
some of
is, if it's a, because I wonder when we're seeing this from the top down view here, are we seeing models? Are we seeing
We are
just a flat texture?
we are basically seeing cutout screenshots of the models themselves, top-down screenshots. So at some point,
So at some point those screenshots got corrupted or changed.
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like the screenshots are automatically generated, and at some point, they got when they retook screenshots of all the objects, some of them didn't show up with their textures properly, and so we got white versions. So they would have to do whatever they do to retake the screenshots.
Or find the original ones.
Yeah.
Find other copies, maybe. I don't know. It's very strange because I never encountered this in my triple testing, but Casmodian says he did.
I know. I don't know enough about how all of this runs through.
You're probably the more technically literate of us, but
Yeah, but even I'm looking from the
You need
outside in. So
I don't know if that door is going to be big enough there, Dragoon.
well, it's mostly invisible. But just for the sake of, do need to make it interactable. You're a worker one, I can't really tell until I get it in there.
True. There's a lot of overhang on these particular walls. These are the Romulan ship walls, is that right?
Yes. I think we're pretty well in this situation.
Yeah, they did. Because of course we don't have any we don't have any Voth objects, so we kind of have to make do. And I think the backstory we came up with last time, though it isn't in the mission itself, was that this is somebody else's outpost that the Voth unearthed or something.
Yeah, this is a Iconian servitor race,
Yeah.
which we never actually explained anywhere.
Well, you know, that's the thing, is that you don't always have to put backstory in the mission. It's good to have it, but you don't always have to use it.
Yeah,
Well,
oh.
also, how is that plot aspect?
How is the what asset?
how important is that plot aspect?
Yeah, that's the question you got to ask yourself: is how important to the plot is that backstory? In this case, it's not terribly important.
No.
I think.
I mean,
You don't want
if it's basically just trivia, then you could like make it an optional dialogue with some NPC you don't really need to talk to.
Mm-hmm. And you can also make it so that players sort of figure it out without it being spelled out. I mean, we have the NPC saying they were asking him questions, I think, about how to activate the gate.
Yeah.
Which kind of indicates, if the player's thinking about it, it sort of indicates that, this isn't their tech. And they don't know how to run it. So this may not be their outpost. So here's a question. Do we want to add some more Voth combat mobs to this map?
Yeah, there's...
I'd say at least one more.
I think one more.
Well, do we want to end it with you rescuing the... or getting to the ambassador? And...
Yeah, we want to end this map with that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
then we should probably make the Voth here a captain. Although, am I going to regret this?
Yeah.
Put him at the entrance to this hallway, so that he's outside.
That's a great question, Dragoon. But am I going to regret this?
Well, I'm thinking about the amount of space in this hallway, whether I'm going to put a giant...
That's what I'm saying. Don't put him in the
dino.
hallway. Put him outside.
Because the Voth can...
Because
dinos.
the one thing that is consistent about Voth mobs is that if you have a captain mob, one of the big mechs will spawn.
Right. Hey, welcome to the chat room, Rogue Enterprise.
Hey, Rogue.
Mr. 50,000 plays himself.
One of these days we'll find out what his dilithium total is.
It's only because his was the only spotlight mission for how long?
Oh, I know why he has as much as he does. I'm more curious about what the theoretical maximum is.
Maybe there isn't one.
Not for Rogue. Okay.
We should mention real quick that a new chat channel in game has been started up. It's called Foundry Talk. So I believe you just do /join_channel Foundry Talk. It's for anybody who wants to talk about Foundry, mission authors, mission players, people who do videos, anything. So everybody join that and chat, and I think it's a good thing, because honestly, one of the things I hope is going to happen, and I have no evidence, it's just speculation, but I kind of hope it's going to happen, is that one of these things they port over from Neverwinter might be a chat window for the Foundry.
That'd be so nice.
Yeah.
Been long speculated.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Nice. Having to switch to dialogue preview whenever someone sends you a PM is annoying.
Because you do hear the PM noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally your character is standing in a dark room while you're not previewing.
Yeah. We did have a channel once upon a time, but nobody used it. So, I mean, obviously, if you're going to make it, if your channel is going to live, people got to use it. So that's why I'm encouraging everybody to use it. One thing I would recommend, Dragoon, is set this captain mob to spawn
After we've gone through.
After you've gone down that hallway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that you don't engage him until you're ready to.
I would agree.
That was a
Well,
effective
it's
grenade.
hilarious to set enemy spawn triggers so that they spawn on top of the player. As a general design rule, I would avoid that.
For certain encounters, I could see it working really well, but
Let's say
in
generally
yeah.
don't. Yeah.
Generally, try not to do that to your players.
There's some times where you might want to surprise the player.
Yeah.
Would be good.
I only have one mission where I intentionally did that, and that one was one of them where there's an NPC that literally tells you, leave that alone or I'll kill you. And then if you mess with it anyways, it spawns an enemy version of her who then attempts to kill you.
One thing that I've been doing is spawning enemies around the corner and having them run towards you using patrols. Did that in my zombie mission, my 28 days later mission, where you're walking down a empty hallway and you start hearing things, and then these crazed guys run around the corner and straight at you. It's kind of fun.
I have a scene in part 2 where you're trying to hold off a attacking force that is just blasted through this door, and so it's filled with smoke, and that it has like sending in waves of mob at you on a fast patrol. You kill them off, and then it sends in the next round.
Salaknar makes a pretty good point. He says he kind of doesn't like the mech in the hallway because they have that artillery ability, which seems sort of strange because obviously if they fire straight up, it would hit the ceiling.
Yeah, but sort of making the mob really easy.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much I can do about that.
Well, let's see. What's it set to now, Captain?
That group this group is captain. The one we fought inside was commander.
Okay. So that one may not spawn a mech every time. I think the captain one will.
Oh.
But commander one probably won't.
By the way, because we're using Voth in this mission will be max level only.
Yes, it will.
Yep.
Oh.
Do Voth come up as 41 plus, or do they come up as
50
plus?
Full 50.
Nice.
So really, if you ever wanted to... not my day. Save me, bridge officers.
Use the
I just
kill
thought of an
command.
question. What happens if you have the Borg fighting other NPCs?
What do you think about
I mean,
this?
does their adaptation, does that adaptation thing make them eventually just stop taking damage and then just wipe the floor with them?
Good question.
I'm not sure I've ever tried it. And see if ask any in the chat room. Has anybody ever tried pitting Borg against friendly NPCs, and what happens then? I really like how this hallway looks.
Yeah, it's kind of cool with the cave walls. To bring my stone walls in a bit. My door is wide enough, but not tall enough.
What I usually do there is get one of the building blocks and stick it up there. One of the wall versions. We don't have to worry about that just now, though. Making sure that everything works.
All right, functionality-wise, it's working pretty well.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. So let's see. What do we have for objectives on this map? What have we put down so far?
Okay, so we are up to... we haven't put anything past the triggering of the special charges.
So we will need like a talk to contact for the Admiral. Assuming you can talk to them through the walls of the...
Yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
So he's adding a reach marker.
Yeah.
Which you're going to put down in that southeast room.
Yep.
It's important to get your directions right when you're giving people directions. I've had it where I've completely reversed the directions and, people call me on it in their reviews, rightly so.
What's the name of our ambassador, by the way?
Wasn't it something like Ambassador Dennis with an H?
Good point. Oh, there it is. Okay, throw down my unplaced reach marker. Alright, so we finally, before I forget. These guys, not show up until, they head this way. Alright, so, we finally find the ambassador. What does she have to say? Keeping in mind she's a pack lead.
What took you so long?
How would you say that as a pack lead?
I tried to make peace go. It didn't go.
I would go with. Well, I'd make it her at least somewhat more articulate than that.
Yeah, considering she's an ambassador.
Packlids aren't stupid.
No, but we want to keep enough of them so that she's down.
They have a particular speaking style.
Way of talking. Yeah, they try to get to the point, but they don't necessarily phrase it the way you would expect.
But I tried to make peace work. It did not work.
That's actually a good one. I like that. I tried to make it work. It did not work.
The Voth are not interested in peace. They see me as little.
I like that. I like that a lot.
We do not make peace with puny mammals.
And just for fun of it, they are not smart. It is time we go. Maybe some kind of introductory.
Chat room says you're missing a Y in they in the sentence, they see me go. Or they see me as little. Thank you, chat room.
Yay, chat room.
I think I got a Y in there. Oh wait, hang on. There it is. Never mind. Okay. Yeah, when it triggers buttons underneath.
Yeah, I think with a packlet, that's just about all the dialogue you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
just
that's
contact the ship and say, we have the ambassador. Let's get out of here.
We did it.
Yay.
Bird June says typo 1 star.
We're gonna get rid of her as soon as her objective's complete, so we don't get that weird. We beamed up without the ambassador.
Yeah. Wait, why does Rogue think I'm excited?
Because you're a generally upbeat person.
No, most of the time.
Typo minus 100 chip. You give me the lithium.
Much rejoicing.
Okay. I think that's about all we can do for that map.
Yep.
So, back to space.
So, yeah, space.
Which we actually already have a map for this.
Yeah, we can just duplicate that one.
Amazing, isn't it?
Actually, I think we can probably duplicate our next 2 space maps. Just on.
I remember back when you used to be able to at least attempt to reuse maps. It's just that it was glitchy as heck. It didn't work.
Yeah, the objectives wouldn't fire if you tried to go to the same map twice, or they would fire in strange orders.
Well, yeah. Well, what would happen is you go to map A, you complete the objectives that's supposed to take you to map B, but instead you just cycle through all of the objectives that are located on map A. Then you go to map B, and then C, and then D, and you don't go back to map A like you're supposed to. Or something like that. It just
Yeah, it never
didn't
worked.
work.
You were never supposed to be able to go back to the same map, which would have been nice though. If we'd been able to do that,
You know, guys,
It would be very cool.
because you would have been able to not have to use up a map slot.
this only need be our last map. We don't need any more after
Ooh.
this. Because we can have the Calypso is the other side of the transwarp gate. I mean, we can have them.
Yeah, we
Show
put
up
them
at the end.
on this map.
We can have them show up at the
Yeah.
end.
Calypso shows up at the end and activates the transwarp conduit for you,
Exactly.
so you don't have to go back to them. In fact, very first dialogue of this map say something about signal the Calypso to come to these coordinates and get us the heck out of here.
I was just thinking we'd have it show up at the end and say, "Hey, we detected weapons fire in the system."
Could do that too.
They're a science ship. They have good sensors.
This is true. I should say we made up which class the Calypso is, didn't we?
Luna class.
Yeah. Because it's not specified in that dev log.
Could have sworn it was. Oh well.
You know, I thought so too, and then I read it and it wasn't there. Unless maybe it was in a different one that I wasn't looking at.
Was that the one with the Midas array?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Oh well. If Cryptic ever actually defines the Calypso, we'll change it. Who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
Cryptic will watch this and decide to make the Calypso a Luna class.
Luna.
Luna class, yeah.
Okay, so we beam back up, and the first thing we see is surrounded by Voth.
Yeah.
That sounds
Oh, Admiral Tate is saying the Calypso is shown in a picture as being a Luna class. So maybe that's where we remember it from.
Probably doesn't look quite like our.
Callisto, not Calypso. Sorry.
Oh, do we have the wrong ship?
No, I think we have the right one.
Oh, we
We've
do
just
have
been
the-
saying the wrong one.
Okay, yeah, it is Callisto.
Yeah.
If it was pictured, then we might need to go back and make sure our Callisto looks like their Callisto. Okay.
Now, when we say surrounded, I mean we don't want to put too many mobs there to overwhelm the player. We want maybe, I don't know, a frigate and a cruiser.
Yeah, that'll work.
Frigate and cruiser seems to be doable, for me anyway, in most missions. Or even weak in a cruiser. Now, unfortunately, we can't have any dialogue with Voth because there's no way to do that currently.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd say let's have some dialogue with them threatening us.
Well, we can fudge this. Throw our map on.
Looks like Stowe Wiki has a page for the USS Callisto, which
Cool.
which appears to be two L's, and appears to be sort of a standard Luna class.
Oh, so ours is much fancier?
Yes,
Uh,
ours is refit. It
All
can
right,
refit
well,
somehow, or we could change it.
I'll conform it to a normal Luna. Not that mine wasn't cooler.
That's pretty much the skin I used when I used to fly Luna. Was I liked the Comet saucer. I think I used a different engineering hull though.
Okay, it's back to being a normal. You know, Cryptic, don't be afraid to play around with your chip customization.
I think I mentioned last time, but I really like the Luna design.
I do, it's a good chip. Fan design,
I
too.
was like the sort of non-standard
It's
Federation
a fan design?
Yeah, it was submitted for the Titan novels.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and say don't forget your transition dialogues. Sometimes I leave those for last.
Yeah, well, they don't show up until I add the next map, so sometimes I forget.
Yeah. And of course, if you change the order of your maps, it usually resets those.
Yeah, that's a little annoying. But oh well, I guess the way it works. I didn't ever put in this one.
Well, I've actually noticed a similar glitch when you are rearranging a dialogue tree. If you have things that say they go A, B, C, and then you change it so that A has a second option that also points to B.
It'll reset the button.
B, sometimes yeah, it'll blank out the buttons for no obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can understand it deleting the data if you take out a button, but um, you know,
One of the many little annoyances that we just have to deal with. We ought to all be used to that by now, I suppose.
and Road claimed that org NPCs apparently don't adapt to friendly NPCs.
Hmm. Well, let's see. I've got some missions in development that would have Borg and friendly NPCs attacking each other, but I haven't actually gotten that far in the missions yet. So I don't know. So while he's doing that, I was going to ask you guys and ask the chat room. We've been doing this podcast for a year. You know, a whole year, well, almost a year. Started in February. Whole year of Star Trek Online. So looking back at 2013, what's been your favorite things going on in the game? Foundry or the rest of the game in general? What's been your favorite Star Trek Online stuff this year?
Oh, just starting this podcast I'm on. That was kind of fun.
I hope so. Well, I personally like the season 8 stuff. I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, of course we.
Oh yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And let's see, didn't we get Temporal Ambassador this year?
Yeah.
Temporal
And
Ambassador.
Legacy of
That's
Romulus.
one of my favorite. Oh God, Legacy of Romulus. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing.
That was what, May, June?
Yeah. I think it came in like early June.
Yeah, that was a whole lot of fun.
Obviously, I've got 5 Romulan characters, so I must have liked it. Of course, the the issue, of course, with the 3 months of long Foundry load times, that was annoying,
Yeah.
but not much we could do about that.
Right.
And of course, the Foundry featured series Purity,
I was about to say that
our great experiment.
I was about to say Purity would be my top choice of what appeared this year, and it's because of the uh, the cooperative nature and seeing a bunch of people that we didn't have any real. There was no cryptic support. The tools just weren't there, you know, from the game itself for doing some of the things that were done, and seeing the community rise, you know.
Yeah,
seeing
I mean
people rise above that.
only support you might say that we had was from Brand Flakes and getting us publicity and spotlighted.
Yeah, that is definitely support. But by when I say there was no support, what I mean is that there were no cooperative tools in the Foundry. There were none of that would have made it so much easier. So I got to watch a group of people form a way to do that without having what we needed in the tool itself. So.
Well, I've always been a sort of a make do with what you've got kind of author. You could spend all your time waiting around for Cryptic to add something, but you may be waiting for the rest of your life. So I don't know. I think better off just going ahead and making it and being flexible enough to figure out, okay, I can't do this, but maybe I could go about it another way.
I'm gonna have another like a battleship show up once
Once the friendlies are around,
Yeah, well,
if we want to do friendlies,
that's a good point.
because we don't
I should
necessarily
say.
have to. Or we could have. Well, we don't want to have the Callisto destroyed accidentally, so
No, we
should-
can't kick.
We probably shouldn't bring them in.
No, they won't show up till the end.
They need to have plot armor. If people are not familiar with the concept of plot armor, it's a trope where people or ships or things like that are put in dangerous situations but always survive because the plot demands that they survive. Where, anybody who was expendable to the plot might have been killed.
Unless you're lost, in which case no one is safe. Seriously, I think almost everyone on that show died. There's like 3 people left alive at the end of that.
I can't say I watched that one.
Oh. It's pretty good.
Which is weird because I'm actually a bit of a J.J. Abrams fan. I've actually liked all of the things of his that I've seen.
I think you'd like Lost.
But I have not seen that.
It's pretty suck you in. Okay. Did I get both of them? Yep. Okay. So they fight off these 2 groups.
Yep.
Do we want to have a bit of intermission before?
That's a good question. Well, see, my original thought was to bring in some Undine and say, something like, you saved me before, now I save you, then we're even.
Well, that's where I'm thinking is where this happens.
But do we need that?
I don't know. I kind of like it.
Okay.
It brings things around full
Mm-hmm.
circle.
So I think what I would do is a pop-up dialogue there.
Yeah.
Saying something like, Captain, Bridge Officer saying something like, Captain, I'm reading more Voth ships on sensors. And then the Undine ship shows up and says, I will help you fight these guys. This gives us an opportunity for sort of a story to have some force and effect, actually, because when we get back to the Alpha Quadrant, you talk to the ambassador as the last dialogue, and she says, "This mission was supposed to help create peace with the Voth. Instead, maybe we've helped create." Or helped move towards peace with the Undine.
I think we should take it one step further. I think at the end of this mission, the ambassador actually goes with the Undine to try and
Hey, there you go.
negotiate some kind of a peace.
That's an excellent idea.
Keep it very open-ended enough that there's no promises that peace will come in case Cryptic comes back and says, we're going to war with the Undine.
Yeah. And it gives you a chance to do a part 2 sometime in 2025.
That's assuming all my other part 2s can get done before then.
Mm-hmm. Should say in the chat room, if you're unfamiliar with Greendragoon here, he has one mission, which is a very excellent mission, ends on a huge cliffhanger, and he's been promising part 2 for quite a long time. And that's his only mission is just that one, and now this one.
Well, since we started this show, he's been promising part 2.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
So a good 11 months. Of course.
Part 1 has been out more than a year.
No, I say 11 months of this podcast. But of course, until November, I had not published a mission while we were doing this podcast either. And then in 1 week, I published 2.
Alright, Undyne Captain 2 is our Undyne. Never set that earlier.
I like those ones with armor on. They look really cool. I say the Undyne come from what is my favorite episode of Voyager, which is Scorpion, the 2-parter.
That was a good one.
So I've always liked them, and I liked that they were sort of the original bad guys of Star Trek Online for the first couple seasons.
Yeah. I mean, but even back then, they were hitting at Iconians.
Oh yeah. They've been doing that the whole time.
Okay, I'm trying to think of how a good way to make an Undyne sound grateful, but not sound grateful.
Biped, you offered me assistance before. This placed me in your debt.
I don't know. The
shall
idea of
repay.
debt doesn't sound like something Undyne.
Doesn't?
That's the problem is we have so little.
Because I feel like they wouldn't like that you saved their life and that placed you in a position of power over them. And that they would need to repay that, and so that to even the slate or to regain power over you.
Maybe they don't see it as repaying it. Maybe they see it as you showed power. They're here to show power back. And they're going to do it in the same way by assisting you the way that you assisted them.
Another word for power.
Strength, something.
They respect strength. The ending.
What would a Undyne call the Voth?
Lizard man?
No, I mean the Undyne wouldn't have any concept of a lizard.
Big bipeds.
Those reptiles.
Reptilian interlopers? Would an Undyne say interlopers?
Possible.
Maybe. I mean, universal translators will translate a whole
Wait,
lot.
You do my favorite thing, which is
what about referring to them as cold-blooded? Because most humanoids have warm blood, right?
Yeah, it makes them different than us. It would be a way for them to separate the two species.
refer to them as the cold-blooded interlopers.
I like what Baz said in the chat room. Just call them cold bloods.
There you go.
Just like they would refer to the Federation races as bipeds. They don't not bipedal interlopers. It's just
because that's as near a translation to the Undian word as your translator can get.
Yeah.
Say I'm having issues with the chat room again. I can't see it at the moment. It's not logging in for me. However, I can see it on the live stream.
You know, one touchstones I've always been.
For me, the live stream keeps going in and out.
One of those touchstones I've always been hoping that Cryptic would do is to see the return of those Undine we met at the Starfleet recreation in Voyager. The ones where they actually started to make peace with the species 8472. Like, they show up and try to negotiate some kind of peace, like, outside of their superiors.
Well, Cryptic's been very good at picking up on, single episode threads and turning them into something interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I feel like that. They've been good at that. I think some people find it a bit silly, from what I've read on
Depends.
the forums. I mean, I disagree with that, but I have seen that opinion out there.
Yeah, there's an opinion for everything. Okay, I think that's enough for this mission. Alright, so I'm going to have a little fun. What do you think? A couple of battleships? Like two battleships versus you and one Undyne battleship?
That'll work.
Maybe.
Baz says he thinks they replaced Chakotay, the ending in that episode.
I don't know what happened to him. Wasn't it strange? They suddenly developed this relationship with 709. I mean, that just happened out of the blue.
Well,
There-
one
there
thing
were a lot
Dana
of things in
Visser
that
mentioned
finale.
once as something that she thought would have been a hilarious plot twist is if we found out that the mirror universe version of her character actually swapped places permanently, and that everything after the mirror universe episodes was actually the mirror universe Kira.
Nah.
That's that's very silly.
I can see that. I can see having fun with some things with things like that, though. I mean, I've done similar things in Foundry missions where it turns out the person you've been working with all along isn't who they say they are.
Well, yeah.
Honestly, though, I think Nana Visitor said that because she thought it would be funny, more because she thought it would be a good plot twist. Because if I remember right, the ending of Deep Space Nine, you see that Kira is in charge of Deep Space Nine.
Oh.
It would be rather funny if it's the wrong Kira.
I liked whoever's idea it was of Emperor Wesley Crusher.
That was my idea.
That would be fun.
I'm pretty sure that was my idea. It's possible I got it from somewhere. But yeah, no, I thought, at some point in Star Trek Online, what we need is the plot thread of Captain Harry Kim versus Emperor Wesley.
Yeah, I agree with Admiral. I agree with Admiral Tade from the chat room, guys, by the way, about the Kira thing. Their personalities were just too different. There's no way that Mira Kira could have pulled that off. I don't think.
Ooh, I like what Pax had to say. In season 4, there was talk of Chastity Yates being a changeling.
I bet you there was talk of almost in the writers' room. I'm sure they were throwing around the possibility of almost everybody being a changeling.
Wouldn't it funny be?
And it turned out it was Bashir.
Yeah. Empress Sato.
Wouldn't it be funny if while they were writing Deep Space Nine, they had these scripts, like a pile of scripts that had what happens if every single person in the show is a changeling? Like a different one. This is the script if Cisco is a changeling. This is the script if O'Brien is a changeling. This is the script if Odo is a changeling.
Well, I mean, I've done some.
See what you did there?
Some reading of behind-the-scenes info, and I've actually heard of things where they actually completely changed an episode because the actor wasn't available, so they rewrote everything to use a different character. I mean, you know.
Oh yeah, there's one of those in Firefly, where Zoe gets injured, and is lying down the whole episode and does like maybe 2 scenes, because the actress was off getting married to Lawrence Fishburne.
That's awesome.
But having those scripts and those different plot lines figured out, depending on who's going to be the changeling, that sounds like something J. Michael Straczynski would do.
Yeah, he was the kind of guy who loved to basically do an outline for season 12 while writing the beginning of season 1. I mean, not necessarily figuring out all of the details, but the broad strokes of what he was going to do.
Personally, I think that's a good way to go. If you're
I
writing
mean,
things.
that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why when you watch to the end of Babylon 5, and then when you rewatch the first episode, you're like, wait a second, I'm in this foreshadowing.
Yeah,
Well, he wrote-
intentional foreshadowing instead of unintentional. Like
Yeah, it's completely intentional. Babylon 5 was one of Straczynski's best things. He literally wrote the last scene of that entire series before he put pen to paper on the first words of the pilot movie or the first episodes. He's talked at length about that in one of his books. That became his way of writing, basically, with Babylon 5, because it let him, no matter how lost he got and how tangential he got, it let him always have a place that he knew he was aiming to come back to. So he of course, the first episode and all the very early stuff has hints of what would come, because he knew what was happening the entire time. So, or he knew where it was going to end.
And of course, the show was still, of course, in danger of being canceled every year.
Yep.
Like a lot of shows are.
Well, they didn't actually get as many seasons as he wanted, even as far as they got, because he actually had at least partially plotted out something like 9 seasons, I think it was, and they made 4 or
5.
something like that.
They made 5.
They made 5, and then I don't know.
They finished however many seasons they did of the first Babylon 5. Then they did the follow-up, first season of the follow-up series, and Straczynski had apparently thought out plot lines not only for that, but for a second follow-up series.
So Dragoon, where are you at here in the?
Yeah, where are we at on?
Sorry, I've just been building this battle. Why don't we?
Which takes a while, as we know.
Do a quick play test here.
Got all the triggers set so the things spawn when you want them to?
I think so.
I guess we'll find out.
I might have forgotten to set a couple. Do enemy groups still automatically not spawn until their objective is up?
Guess we'll find out.
Otherwise, it's going to be a really hard battle. So with the Foundry backup, has anyone been doing much work?
No, I
have. Actually, I have. Don't want to talk too much about it, but I have been doing quite a bit. I've just been avoiding map building.
Yep, that's everything.
So you'll need to set some triggers.
Well, I guess it's kind of nice, because it used to be that
Tell you what I've been doing is systematically trying to get as many marks as I can from the winter event. I showed everyone my spreadsheet the other day. They thought I was nuts. I'm probably nuts.
You made a spreadsheet?
Yeah. I have 13 characters, and I'm trying to get as many marks as I can on all of them. So I've got a spreadsheet that shows how many EPOs I've completed, how many are in progress, how many tags I've got, how many marks I've actually gotten for that character, and when when the EPO projects will be done, what time of day.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I
Wow.
am tracking
It's the only way I can
my
keep track of
progress
it.
on the winter races so that I can attempt to maintain a 20-hour schedule and get the winter race over with as soon as possible.
Mhm.
Although I'm almost
Wow. You wow. Just seriously, wow. You guys are
Well,
I'm
that's a good
impressed.
spreadsheet.
I'm impressed at your dedication. Seriously.
I've gotten almost 12,000 marks so far.
Cheers for you.
I just spent a couple of weekends just essentially hanging around and doing the Fast and Furious.
The only
need to
thing
do
that
that.
I've played way too much of in that silly winter event was the Winter Invasion, just because I want the 2 titles that come with it because they're silly, and I want them.
You were telling us that before the show, but in case people in the chat room don't know, tell us how we get the titles.
So there are 2 titles associated with the Winter Invasion event, save the gingerbread men from the evil snowmen. And those titles are if you save 50 of the freezing gingerbread men and gingerbread council members, in total it has to be 50 over, whatever amount of time, you earn the title of Ginger Bro. And if you end up eating 50 candies over the course of the times that you run it, you end up getting the title Sweet Tooth. So that's the only thing I've done too much of, is running that event, because I want those 2 titles on a couple of characters. So
Oh wow, Tychon's Rift has pieces falling off your ship.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and like that, actually, you do get something for defeating the I don't know if it's a title or just.
I can't remember if you get a title for defeating the Yeti or just an accolade.
You realize it's basically a Rankin Bass Mugato,
Yes, it is.
which
Yeah.
is freaking awesome.
Yes, which is
Absolutely
awesome.
And it's just an accolade for defeating him. You get abominable behavior for defeating him.
I grew up with that.
Same.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer,
And when I first saw that, I loved it. It was brilliant. It made me laugh, and
it was scary. The Abominable Snowman.
when I was a kid, it was scary.
Yeah.
But when I first saw it in the game, I walked into that cave, and I just could not stop laughing. I was blown away. I loved it.
Well, the one thing I found odd about that thing is its fur texture. It always looks weird, but
I think it's using some of the
could
new
just
hair
be
texture.
the-
I think they're trying to use some of the new hair texture on it. I'm not sure.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Because it reminds me of the way that some of those new hairstyles look.
You barely survived that battle.
Yeah. Had to quick go kill him.
In the chat room, heal, heal, heal.
I can't. I'm only a level 4. I don't exactly have a lot of heals.
Oh,
That's 3%, 20%.
I should mention, Green Dragoon, that Ashkirk, who's going by, I think, Beast 560 in our chat room at the moment, played my mission Cold Winds the other day and complimented me on the Jeffers 2, which, of course, is your design that you helped me
I haven't played that
build.
one yet. I need to see it.
So, thank you definitely for teaching me how to build that.
Yeah, that went through a few iterations to try and get it the way it looked good.
Well, it is funny because, of course, you taught me how to build that, and of course, my mission came out before yours did.
Yeah, I'm not all that.
So the one that you originally built that for is not out yet.
Actually, if I could always post the specs for that on the Starbase UGC.
Yeah, you should. Hey, you got a blue, I think.
Yeah, my inventory's full though.
Odyssey 47, you just made me laugh out loud by saying Tovin Kev should have a
South
gingerbread
Vader
man
saying
voice.
to us, the Godmother man.
Didn't they say on the forums who did the voice over for that?
For the gingerbread man?
Yeah, for the gingerbread man.
I didn't see it if they did say.
I can't remember. Maybe somebody in the chat remembers.
I'm pretty sure by this point of playing the early Klingon content, though, I've heard a little bit of Bran Flake's voice, but
We know he's in there somewhere.
he's in there somewhere, and I will say I think I have certainly picked up a little bit
He said,
of
what was it he said?
sounds like him.
I think he said he was a Lethian and a couple of Klingons, maybe?
If
Well,
the
let's see.
things that I thought were him, he's a pretty good voice actor, all things considered, for a guy whose job is community manager. So,
Well, he's live streaming the Klingon early content. What is it, tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so.
Thursday?
yeah, he's doing it tomorrow.
So I bet you he'll point out which ones are him. Or maybe he'll be quiet, he won't.
Well,
He'll totally point it out. He'll be so excited.
Wow, two
one thing
blues.
I've noticed about Brand Flake is that he seems to be the kind of guy who has taken classes in public speaking, so he can, I guess if they consciously choose to pronounce things a certain way.
It's possible. I know I didn't take any of those classes other than what I had in like primary, in high school.
And of course, we don't actually have any objectives beyond this point. But
Someone I think was wondering in the chat room the other day whether, when you're previewing a map, if you preview it long enough that you finish all the objectives and end the mission where it completes for you, does that count as an average playtime? Towards your average playtime?
Oh, you mean in preview?
Yeah.
no, because
I don't
it's
think
preview.
so.
My guess would
No,
be
because
no,
it's in preview.
but
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
No,
But I do know it's a way to level your Foundry too.
the test environment is completely isolated from holodeck.
Hey,
Yeah.
Your Undine cruiser survived.
Well, no, this is
Nice.
the NPC
Well,
I threw down in case the
Oh.
cruiser is killed.
That's smart.
Hey, we're funny, apparently. Thanks for staying around, Salaknar.
Just say to anybody in the chat room, don't stay up too late on our account.
Yeah, we will post it.
We'll definitely post this. We've got part 1 ready to go. I'm just gonna upload it probably overnight because it's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
Hey, Pax Federatica, I completely agree with what you well, I don't know that I know whether they should let us specify dialogue for him. That would require a ridiculous amount of voice acting from whoever does do his Tovin Kev's dialogue. But you're talking about how they basically we cannot dismiss that bridge officer there. They have been talking, devs have been talking recently about how that was the first time they did it. And they're trying to do it again to add more bridge officers that have story and personality. But they've learned from what came before, and they're going to continue to learn with things like that. That's why a character like Flores is dismissible kind of thing. Hopefully they'll be able to do it retroactively, but, shrug. Who knows? Although it would be cool, I think, to have all of those, since we do know that every player in the game now, no matter what faction they're playing, gets assigned bridge officers. Like, the Federation player has Eliza Flores, T'Prel, all of them. If they would put those NPCs available to us in the Foundry, I think that'd be cool.
Or be able to essentially tag a dialogue so that character will always say it.
Yeah.
No matter if you have
So like
them slotted or even if you don't have them slotted.
If you imagine like a specific where we have like bridge officers, an extra option would be Tovan Kev, or
Yeah.
although what Cryptic has, as far as I understand, is the ability to actually differentiate differentiate dialogue based on whether said officer is actually present. So we would need that too. Otherwise, we could end up trying to write dialogue for Tovan Kev, but Tovan Kev isn't around, and we end up.
Well, the Romulan remote missions where they use Tovan Kev, it's almost always him, regardless of whether he's on your away team or, you know.
I think it's one of the I think that's one of the mistakes they feel like they made was the way that they have him react in the story. Basically, Tovan Kev is always your first officer. No matter what you're trying to say differently, no matter which character you're putting in the position of first officer, it seems to me that they intended Tovan to be your first officer, and that's kind of what the story reflects.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And that's where I think they did it better with the Klingon and the Federation.
Yeah, but I mean, they were trying to tackle something that we as Foundry authors deal with all the time, and that is the generic nature of bridge officers. I mean, I've heard it so many times when authors complain about oh, we can't really do engaging dialogue with bridge officers, and every time we do, we end up getting bad reviews because there's always some bridge officer who the dialogue doesn't fit for.
My bridge officer would never say that.
Exactly. So we kind of have to keep this middle of the road, and I mean, Encryptic as kind of the front and center mission maker really has to toe that center of the road. Okay, so I think we are up to the point where you talk to the Undying Cruiser.
So you talk to the Undying Cruiser, and is this where the ambassador goes with them? Is this what you were thinking?
Yes.
Excellent.
And what does he have to say?
So what did you end up putting in the first dialogue with him?
I just said you were a different biped. I haven't written any more. Oh, you mean the one from before the fight?
Yeah, before the fight.
Oh,
when he first shows up.
uh,
This is something about strength, right?
you show strength in confronting these cold bloods. This time we will assist you.
You're different. Let's say something like, I don't know, perhaps there may be an understanding between our species. Something like that.
I don't want to give anything so overt. I mean, even if the Undyne is impressed, he's going to play his cards close to the chest. They're very suspicious.
Yeah.
So
Maybe take the perhaps sometimes sort of approach.
let's bring in the ambassador. Get her some.
The question is, who suggests that she go with them? Is the ambassador suggests it?
I think she should
or
insist.
Yeah.
I mean, she is an ambassador. I mean, and I especially kind of want to put her in a positive light, despite her being a pack lead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she should be actively seeking this opportunity for peace.
Sounds good.
The novel or Kirk page 7 of 9.
Yeah, I saw something about that. I
I
don't
wonder if-
quite know how that's going to work.
I remember in one of the novels, somebody used Borg nanotechnology to resurrect Kirk after his death on Viridian.
Yeah, that was in one of the
Which,
Shatner books.
Yeah. How many times did he come back from the dead in
Yeah.
those books?
which,
Oh, at least twice.
was that like once a book or something? And Odyssey posted a link.
Yay for people in the chat room with links. I approve.
Provide much entertainment.
Are we really almost done with this mission?
We're pretty close.
Almost.
We'll have to fill in our alerts
Well, we're
down
only
there.
planning on being online for 2 hours today.
Yep, that's true. We'll have to fill in the alerts down and.
Mhm.
That's true.
Which most of those will just be names of maps.
Mm-hmm.
We'll need to name the mission.
Yeah, there we go. Hey,
Okay.
people in the chat room. We're getting on that point where this mission needs a name, so start
yeah.
throwing some ideas up in the chat room.
I think I'm on her.
Well, Dragoon, this mission is an opportunity for you to certainly expand upon it in the future,
Yeah, absolutely.
since it is yours.
It will be sitting in your.
You seem to have created a character you like here.
Yeah. I mean,
Obviously,
Who
we
knows?
haven't fleshed her out any, but she's fun.
And it kept 7.
Admiral Tade says a cold dose of diplomacy. And Stout says roll with the ambassador.
I like Tade's idea.
A cold dose of diplomacy. That's an interesting one.
It does. It makes me. The only problem is it tricks me into thinking it's going to have Breen.
Maybe.
Odyssey's asking for the story synopsis again. He did get here after we did the quick recap.
what about distant diplomacy?
That's
Okay,
possible.
we've got an idea from our authors here. Okay.
For Odyssey 47, anyone else joining us, the mission synopsis is this ambassador, Ambassador Dennis, has gone to the Delta Quadrant to try and open up diplomatic relations with the Voth. She disappeared. You were tasked to go to her last known location and try to find out what happened to her. And along the way, you encounter Undine. You essentially save them, though of course they don't probably see it that way. And you rescue the ambassador. And now what we're up to here is
you do fight Voth. That's who you're rescuing the Undine from.
yes.
You do end up and you fight them both in space and on the ground while you're rescuing the ambassador. And near the end of it, the Undine that you had rescued, you probably heard that, that they show back up and come to help you and assist you. So
cold-blooded negotiations. So
Keep
another
it
from
hot.
another
Kinda
from
like that.
Admiral Tade, because we do call them cold bloods.
Yeah.
Say we have the Undine call them
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's
I'm-
a good one.
You guys, what do you guys think?
Fluid diplomacy.
Fluid diplomacy. That's a good
Stouts.
one.
Diplomacy gone the wrong side.
Because it is fluid, since you went out there to make peace with the Voth, and now you're making peace with the Undine.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe.
Tell me what you
Maybe.
think of this. Undine, you are strong. You have been hurt, but you are strong. I know you are smart. You know that there are others who would see all at war. You should speak with us. We do not want to harm you. We can make peace. Peace is good. Good for all.
I like
I
that.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah. The Zag is back with cold-blooded diplomacy. Combining
Combining a few of
a
the,
couple of ideas
yeah.
here.
What do you guys think? Cold-blooded diplomacy
Um,
or fluid diplomacy?
That sounds good.
I'm looking at them all here. I kind of like.
I kind of lean towards fluid diplomacy myself,
Yeah,
because it foreshadows without completely giving it away.
It it's kind of the thing is like seeing fluid in the title just because of the way that Cryptic titled their missions
Yeah, that does
has
sort of
that
give it away, doesn't
effect. It has that effect
It
of
has that effect.
just kind of like whenever
So
you
you're right. You're right. I was wrong. It does
cold
actually
in a
give it
title.
If we use cold in the title, it would be
Yeah,
a bit of
just
misdirection.
kind of telegraphs, hey, look, Undine.
So maybe cold-blooded
Frog
diplomacy
says
would
no
be better.
fluid because the Undine are a surprise.
Borrowed Tune says no fluid. Undine are a surprise, and that's
Yep.
true. They are a surprise when you get out there. So.
Admiral Tade has been looking at patch notes. Appears they have added the Tier 5 reward mission for Voth.
Woohoo! I will start. I will start trying to finish that reputation again.
Yeah, I kind of
stopped at,
stalled.
like
I've
I
got
stopped
like
there.
2 days left.
Yeah, I've got like 2 or 3 days. I was just like, oh,
But players who have already reached Tier 5 will be automatically granted that mission.
that's good. That's very cool. Where we jump them to the Delta Quadrant, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
How about we try to work the word Delta in there somewhere into the title?
Delta diplomacy.
Just, maybe. I mean, I just.
Alliteration is always good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, throw that out to the chat room. See if you guys can work Delta into a title.
Just because it's all taking place in the Delta Quadrant.
Uh-huh.
Jurassic
diplomacy. So the reply here from
Yeah.
Undine, what do we got here?
I sense
from my
honesty
side,
in your
it's
words.
fun,
There may be something common between, but peace is not likely. My superiors do not trust bipeds, and they have no reason to start now.
Stouts put Delta diplomacy in the chat room as well. Double Delta.
Flexner's idea reminds me of Jurassic Park, where you don't really negotiate with the dinosaurs. You avoid having them eat you while you shoot them.
Yeah, and so this is where we have the ambassador suggest that she goes with you, or goes with them.
Bazag just came into our chat room and said Delta Quadrant Diplomat. So yeah, folks in the chat room, what have you been working on now that the editor has been back up for a while? What sort of things are people putting their energy toward at the moment? I know a lot of people are probably celebrating the holidays as well, but are getting are busy with the holidays.
Yeah, sometimes people are less busy on the holidays, got more time to play games.
True, that's very true.
Usually what happens for me. Baratune says you should title it "Make Diplomacy Go."
Ooh, I actually really like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Blacknar goes, Delta Cretaceous Diplomacy.
I don't know.
Really
I'm really liking
Diplomacy
Make Diplomacy Go.
I
think that's our winner.
Yeah, but if I could, I'd cheer really loudly, but that might make that might make everyone
Cringe.
cringe. Right, that's a good one.
And Lincoln suggested Dino Diplomacy.
Let's see.
Right now, because all right, so in order, Baratune said, "Make diplomacy go," and then JK for just kidding, and now he's laughing that we actually like it. I think.
Hey, so some of the best ideas are the ones you just sort of throw out there.
Really, they really
even
are.
as jokes sometimes, and it's like, yeah, that's awesome. Like dinosaurs with lasers on their heads.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you
never-
think
I
about
don't
it
know how
from
that
one
came up.
point of view, then you step back and look at it, and you're like, wait a second, I actually like that.
So let's see. In answer to your question, Hippie, let's see. Beast 560, who is Ashkirk, says he finished his finale to his first series, which is called Perfection.
Excellent.
Admiral Tade says he's retouching up his mission Sovereign Claims. He would like to get it up to Spotlight standards. Primar 13 is working on a custom starbase interior, which he says is driving him crazy.
Those are the best kind.
Yeah. Things that drive you nuts are awesome.
They usually turn out awesome. Let's see. Odyssey 47 says working on a reimagining of the tutorial since before Season 8. He now says he has quite a bit to change since the new tutorial. That's interesting. I mean, sort of reimagining something that Cryptic has done because you didn't care for it or whatever other reason.
Right.
I had kind of planned to do something like that for the 2800 because I wasn't not wild about that series, and I think I would like to tell the story a different way.
Yeah, for me it was just one character, but that we can talk about storytelling there another time.
Sure. Let's see. Lincoln in Space says he's been trying to build a ground map in a space map.
Interesting.
Now, how does that work, Lincoln? If you want to elaborate on that.
You know, like
I've
tell us in
actually
our
heard
chat room.
people working on that and talk to people about that one, but the basic gist of it is you have to build some really huge flat surface in space map that you can fly your ship over, and then put buildings on it.
Suppose you would have to use
Which,
like
you
the
know,
asteroids,
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
and then use some of those asteroids that have things that look like buildings on them.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
Okay.
well, also though, for the flat surface, most of those that I've seen, they took a bunch of those big Borg objects and put them
Mhm.
together to make a giant plane.
Yeah.
Let's see. And Pax says, as mentioned before, I'm touching up Valley of the Shadow 2, but he's been spending more time wasting dinos than working in the Foundry.
Aw.
A lot of us have, to be honest. Or doing the winter event, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in my case, I've barely done anything in the game outside the winter event.
Salaknar says he's never touched the editor, so he's not working on anything.
Well,
So there's
we welcome you anyway, Salaknar. Thanks for joining us.
and there's always a first
Hey, and
time
if
for
you ever-
everything.
I was gonna
Absolutely.
say, yeah, there's always a first time for everything, and of
You're
all
kind
of the
kind of seeing how it
communities-
works here as Greendragoon is making his mission.
of all of the communities I've encountered in the game, in the various places in the game, I will say the Foundry community is probably just about one. It is. It's not just about. It is the most welcoming and friendly and helpful of all the communities that I've wandered my way into. So.
So we're getting to the point where you've beamed the ambassador over.
Yep, she just beamed over. Bridge officer asked, "Do you think we'll ever see the ambassador again?" You reply, "I don't know."
Maybe someday, Jimmy.
Um,
Maybe someday.
Didn't Kirk leave somebody on Balok's ship in the first Federation episode? I'm thinking that the Pac-led ambassador is going to end up like that guy.
Never heard.
Yeah,
from him.
there's that guy that Kirk promoted too fast.
I confess I never have seen that episode.
Oh, it's actually a really good episode.
Is it?
It's one of those episodes that
Isn't Ron Howard the little kid? Or is it
No,
I don't think
it's
so.
brother?
Brother.
Clinton.
Hey, Salaknar, I hear you. There's no lunar colony map. The question then becomes,
Can you build one?
can you build one? Right. The question becomes, how do you use what there is to make what you want, or something very close to it? And there really is a community here that does its very best to help you figure those things out. Lunar colony, depending on whether you want it to be a ground map that people are running around, or a space map that they're flying over something, I'm sure people would try to help you figure that out. So
yeah, well, I'm pretty sure we do have a lunar or like a moon clearing.
surface.
We have
yeah.
several, but I think they're maybe not. They don't look like our moon very much because they got like crystals, and I think they got sort of big mushroomy rock formations.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's at least one that's mostly just rock, but it has a bunch of sharp hills and stuff. I think there's one of them that's boring.
Now, what you
have
can
the weird
try to
stuff.
do is try and cover up the baked in objects that you don't want with other objects, like buildings and such. Because we know, of course, that there's a lot of people living on the moon in our timeline. Can't remember what the number Riker said was.
I think some number of millions. I don't
Yeah, it was
But-
millions.
But if anyone who has enjoyed those videos of famous Star Trek mistakes, one of one of my favorite ones is they start the montage with that line from Riker. In our day, you can see blah blah Tycho, New Berlin. There are so many people living on the moon, and then it cuts back to like 13 clips from the run of the television show where they
that
fly
showed
right
no
near
cities or anything like
no
that.
cities, nothing on the moon. Yeah. It's,
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, see, what it is the city is on rollers, big tracks, and it moves around. So, anytime you see it in the show, it just happens to be on the other side.
Yeah, it's on the far side of the moon.
Yeah. It's just always on the far side. See, Star Trek fans, we're creative. We can justify anything.
It's also where Starfleet keeps its secret cloaking device facilities.
Violation of the treaty.
But the treaty only prohibits the use of those on starships.
Ah, so the moon base is cloaked. Oh, I want to recommend a book to you guys.
Actually, I'm not sure.
Go ahead, Mark.
Actually, I'm thinking, but I'm not sure. It could just be that the Federation isn't allowed to use cloaking technology in general. But
That was my impression.
again, though, we've seen the Federation use cloaking technology for other things that were apparently legal that
Yeah,
did
like
not involve using cloaks in starships.
like the duck blind.
Like the existence of that hollow ship in Insurrection.
Mhm.
That was apparently something the Federation was allowed to have. It's just that it wasn't supposed to be there.
So I've got a book recommendation for you guys. I think good one for Foundry authors. It's Federation: The First 150 Years.
I was just about to ask you if that book said anything about the Treaty of Algernon.
yeah.
I don't remember if it did or not. It talks a lot. There's a whole big old section about the Romulan War, but I can't remember if it ends with that treaty or if it's a different treaty. That treaty might be after the first 150 years. But really, it's a great book. I loved reading it. Goes through all the history from Zephyr Cochrane to the first Khitomer conference, which would be Star Trek 6, of course. And just a wealth of information on it really makes me want to set a mission somehow in the first in that Romulan War, which of course was after Enterprise, but involved the Enterprise NX-01. And I think I could probably do it as like I could do it as one of my holodeck missions where you're running a holodeck program, or you could do it as time travel.
Yeah, kind of like the infamous ending to Star Trek Enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there holodeck versions of those events exist. We know that, so. But we have the tools to do it. We have old style warbirds. We have the NX class. The Vulcans, actually none of the other races were really involved except the Denobulans, which of course is Phlox's species.
Which we have the parts for in the Foundry.
Yes, we do. Borrowed Tune says, that must be when Archer did something really bad, so bad that they never mention his name in the future.
Yeah, they killed Tucker.
What did they?
Actually,
Actually, the
there
one
is
thing
a mention
I've
of
heard a lot
the name Archer in TNG, where there's a planet named after him. Of course, obviously, when they were making TNG, they didn't know they were doing that, but
Well, one thing that a lot of people have pointed out about the ending to Star Trek Enterprise is that when you see them put Trip into that thing where he's supposedly being stored until his body can be disposed of or whatever, he winks at them as they're stuffing him inside.
I choose to believe he's not dead.
Yeah. It,
Even in 2409?
There's no telling exactly.
Well, obviously in 2409.
Okay, so I'm up to the point where they've dropped off the ambassador, they've ended things, and they're about to talk to the Callisto.
Okay.
Just showed up.
You tell them it's a long story.
Rank. He picked up weapons fire.
And Pax says one of the screen graphics in Nemesis mentions a ship called the USS Archer. It's amazing how people pick up on those little things that are on a screen in a corner for 2 seconds.
Why they call us fans?
One thing that I noticed reading about that recently was that when you look at those personnel files that Riker is flipping through in that episode, they're actually bits of biographical information about the producers.
There's a lot of those little things like that. I think in TNG, when they were building the sets, there were all sorts of pipes and things labeled with the acronym for goes nowhere, does nothing.
Not like in Stargate where GDO stands for garage door opener. Seriously, it does.
Well, there's been 2 series finales in Star Trek where they have a bunch of extras for a scene in the final episode of the series, and instead of getting actual extras, they have various members of the production crew dress up in outfits and stand there.
Lincoln in Space is asking if the Romulans revealed themselves in the war visually, because Spock seemed to have no idea what they looked like.
Right.
It's explained sort of that some of the higher echelons of the Vulcan government and the Earth government knew and kept it quiet.
Well, for a long time,
because they thought it would help diplomatic relationships between Earth and Vulcan.
For a long time, wasn't it said that the Treaty of Aldrin was done over subspace?
Yeah, where there was no visual communication.
Yeah.
Right.
That was actually from a non-canon source, though. That was from, I think, the NASA RPG.
And then there's also Diane Duane's books, which very heavily get into Romulan stuff. And I think that the Federation First 150 Years book, I think, takes some of that and doesn't take some of it as gospel. Obviously, when you're making a Star Trek book, you can sort of pick and choose what other Star Trek books you recognize. I don't think they're very. I don't know how they do that exactly, but I don't think they're very strict on it. Not like the Star Wars books.
An interesting comment. TOS got retconned by every series and even itself.
All right. How do you respond when the Callisto asks, "Did you find the ambassador?"
We found her. She left. She wanted to make diplomacy go.
She accompanied the Undine back into fluidic space.
And you let her go? Are you nuts? She insisted.
Like,
I don't know
Oh,
at this
gotcha.
point.
Gotcha. You're actually typing that.
Yes.
She wanted to make diplomacy go.
Yeah.
What, you think I'm
Was
not
that
actually paying
one
attention to
way
what you
to
guys are
do-
saying?
Yeah.
This isn't watch Greendragoon make a Foundry mission while all of you guys talk about something unrelated.
No,
it's always
this is a combo mission.
it's always fun to drop the title of your mission in the dialogue somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
And since we've decided our title is "Make Diplomacy Go."
this is interesting. Some non-canon sources claim that part of the reason why the TOS era equipment seemed like it was inferior to the Enterprise era equipment is that it was designed to make it difficult to tap into remotely.
Kind of like the in Battlestar Galactica when they're talking about how primitive the Galactica seems compared to modern ships. They say it was designed to prevent Cylon hijacking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because the Cylons are masters of information warfare.
Absolutely.
The them is to, well, avoid them.
And it seems like the Romulans probably would be as well. They'd be very technologically proficient.
Yeah, but you have the Vulcans and what other races that in theory at least should be able to counter that. The advantage the Cylons had was that the Cylons were literally machines. They could think in computer code, whereas humans can't.
Mm-hmm. My thought on the TOS, why it looks so different if we're searching for non real life explanations, is that it was just sort of a design aesthetic. Is they may look less advanced than the Enterprise era, but they're actually not. It's just it's the look of things is different.
And on the Enterprise, Spock found that a monotone voice was more efficient, and so that's why the Enterprise computer speaks in a monotone. All I can say is a good thing he was on the captain's good side.
So, you've explained what happened to the Callisto?
Yep.
And
I was kind of
they're
left it
sending
vague.
you home.
Notice as we've been playing this longer, my Foundry's acting a little bit more sluggish.
Oh yeah, I was going to have Mark tell us about the bug that he reported earlier.
Oh, It was in my mission diplomacy in the Gamma Quadrant. I made an exterior map where I built a large stone causeway that circles around this tall, cone-shaped mountain type thing on the map. Then I was checking it to see if it had gotten damaged by the recent update and found that the mountain that I had wrapped the causeway around was in a different location. It didn't get moved very far. It's actually moving in a place where it touches the causeway that I built. It's not in the same place though.
Do you remember
So
what?
you
Do you remember
see the
what
causeway-
base map it is?
Robotic Clearing 01.
So anyone
I
who's
posted
using
a report.
Robotic Clearing 01 should go check that and see if anything like that has happened to them. I'm entirely sure I might actually be using one of those. But that
I'm
might
not
be new.
sure exactly what other objects are different on that map. I didn't spend a lot of time going back and looking at everything. But that particular piece I noted because of the fact that, well, one of the objectives is to walk up this spiral-shaped ramp to the top of this thing and then talk to it. And of course, it's not there anymore. So you now have the spiral-shaped ramp that's circling nothing. It's just big.
I suppose the question would be whether your geometry moved or whether the map geometry moved.
It has to be the base map geometry that changed because I went over everything, checked all of the ways that things were connected together. Everything appears to be exactly as it was, except the mountain itself. I mean, because I precisely aligned the ramps and stuff when I was placing them. They appear to be oriented the same way as they were before relative to each other. And now there's this mountain peak in a completely different location.
Well, you did report that. That's good. And I think, did Frost reply to you yet?
He said that he would have someone look into it.
Okay, good. But anybody else who uses that map should go give their mission a look at.
I'm going to have to look through the stuff I did making screen caps a while back and see if I made any screen caps of the way it was before.
I'm sure that would be useful if they had those.
Because I'm not sure if that may actually be the only thing that was changed, because it's one of those things where it's not like it just completely vanished. They moved it from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill, and that seems to be pretty much it.
To say what Greendragoon is doing here is he's putting the you're going to go through the portal, the transwarp conduit, and then it's going to spawn the original star system that you started out in.
The idea.
We're hoping you get that on the right objectives this time. Remember last time we had to have a little do-over on that.
Yeah. We'll notice it pretty quick if I'm wrong.
Uh-huh. Got a few folks who are heading off to bed. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
Obviously, if you're in like Europe and that sort of area, it's quite early in the morning. Or, even getting late on the East Coast.
We're up to 9:41 at the moment.
Ah, it's not too bad. These are a little...
Fazag, it's middle of the afternoon.
Have
Something
we
like that.
really? Yeah, we have. We're right at about 2 hours, and we're right about done. Is this is
Yeah,
the last
we're
little bit?
zeroing in.
Uh, do we need to talk to the USS Keymaster?
Sure.
Might as well make that the very last objective. Just have him ask, "How'd it go?" And you reply, "You don't want to know."
Goodbye, everybody who's taken off from the chat room. Anybody who is, I see a few people saying later.
Should say this is a little bit longer than our usual one, but obviously anybody who has done Foundry work before knows that it's not exactly a short process sometimes.
Right. I think trying to aim for a total of 4 hours was, really impressive on our part. We might, if we get it done in
We're getting about 5, I think, probably.
Right.
All told.
Right.
Because I think we were, what, like 2.5 last time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to be right at 2.5.
One thing we should remember to do is, on that very first map, change the friendly mobs to look like Undine.
Yeah.
Because I don't imagine we've done that.
And I think
Right.
there's a few things that
Also,
A few little polishing
at
things we do.
did you ever decide on the map door?
Somewhere in Regulus. We'll figure that out pretty soon here.
Hey, Baz, the ship on the other side is the gatekeeper. They're keeping the gate
Callisto
for you
is the
so you
gatekeeper.
can go home. And isn't it the ship on the side at your home is the keymaster?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, that's all.
Welcome
Well,
home.
Welcome home. Yay!
Wasn't Keymaker one of the characters in the Matrix?
The Keymaker was in the Matrix, but this one is a reference to Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Keymaster is
gatekeeper and the keymaster.
Rick Moranis' character.
Have fun in the battle zone, Pax.
All right, so a couple of last-minute things.
Mm-hmm.
What did we officially decide the name of this?
Make diplomacy go.
Yeah, make diplomacy go. That's my vote.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 2 votes anyway.
Mark, what do you think?
I think I like Jurassic Diplomacy better.
Okay, so we've got Jurassic Diplomacy, we've got Make Diplomacy Go. Anybody in the chat room throw out, there were a lot of names before, throw out your votes here. We're getting to the name our mission. What about you, Dragoon? What's your vote here?
I'll go for Make Diplomacy Go.
We have 3 for Make Diplomacy.
What do you think? The Rubin system could be a good place to have this happen?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sounds fine.
We'll need to go back in one of our dialogues and
Thankfully, it's just one right down here.
Replace some question marks.
Sorry, feel slow, Ashkirk. Obviously this mission needs polish still, but
yeah, this is a very, very basic mission.
This was basically just that. I feel like it became about hanging out and just throwing ideas at a wall with all you guys in the chat room, and thanks to Dragoon for being willing to do the actual work in the Foundry and all the typing and whatnot.
And being willing to go a lot faster than he normally does.
Yes.
A lot faster.
Well, there's a whole lot more iteration when I do this.
And Bobo goes to the Delta Quadrant.
No.
Oh boy.
If we did that, we would never hear the end of it from Murphy.
So let's see. What else will we need to do?
About doing things this way is that you never find yourself sitting around wondering what you're going to do next, because somebody else who is looking over your shoulder will tell you.
I
Yeah.
think,
Or at least give a suggestion you can build on.
honestly, I think this is a good place to end.
I think it is too. We're gonna.
We've got the framework of
going
the
to
mission.
Polish this up.
You can get the intro dialogue and the project summary and quick get in the transition dialogues and get it published.
Yeah, might take a quick pass
Yeah.
on that that ground map. I want to kind of clean up the buildings a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And we'll let everybody know as soon as it's published.
Yep.
Absolutely. Certainly people look forward to us coming back next year. This is our last show of the year. We'll be back.
Say it's been a great 2013. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever other holidays you celebrate.
Who knows? Maybe when we get past the new year, we'll do a kind of like a reflection episode or something.
Absolutely.
I mean, we'll be coming up on 1 year here.
Yeah, in February will be our anniversary episode. Maybe we'll get Bran Flakes back.
There you go.
Yeah,
Love to do that.
there we go. Well, he listens to our shows. Maybe we'll get Bran Flakes to listen. After he hears this one, he'll say, "Yeah, I'll go back for their 1 year anniversary."
And of course, he did pop into the live stream chat for a little bit on part 1 here last week. So, Odyssey 47 is asking if we're going to do it live with chat room interaction from now on. I'll say that's something we're considering. I'd say we haven't really made a decision yet, but
Yeah.
it's certainly possible.
We have
It's
discussed
kinda
it. How's that? Well,
Yeah.
it's certainly been a whole heck of a lot of fun. So
The hard part is that normally we don't have a lot of visual to go on. I mean, normally it's just an audio podcast.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Of course, now we have
could
this
find-
incredibly awesome logo that Green Dragoon designed for us.
Right, so we could keep the logo up when we're doing audio only. We could
We could all hang out
reviews-
in Club 47 or something.
during reviews of missions. I personally have thought one way to potentially use this is to either make a Twitch account myself and direct people to that channel during a review, or maybe go into Mission Green Dragoon so that we can point out things talking about during reviews in the actual missions themselves. There's a lot of ideas we have
there's
talked
a lot
about.
of things we could do, and certainly there's nothing to say that we have to completely stick to the formula that we did in 2013. So
True.
we're open to lots of things. We'll call it season 2. We'll start up next year.
Yeah,
All right. Well, is that a good place to end?
That's a good place to end.
I think that's a great place to end. Thanks to everybody who's listened to us for the course of the last almost year.
Yep. Thank you very much.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks.